I want to talk to you about the reason you guys are getting errors on your calculators. Most of you will agree that 1 divided by 1 is what? 1, right? So any number divided by itself, 2 divided by 2, that's also equal to 1. Which means 2,000 divided by 2,000, that should also be equal to 1. But when we do it in scientific notation, we run into a problem. 2 times 10 to the 3 divided by 2 times 10 to the 3. I think we all know what the answer should be. It should be 1. But what happens is when you plug it into your calculator, which you should pause and do now, I think what you're going to find, some of you at least, is going to be something like 1 million or some other number that's not 1. And here's the reason why. Scientific notation, when you plug it into your calculator the way your math teacher taught you, scientific notation is entered as 2 separate numbers. So when we do our divide by, like we're doing right here, 2 times 10 to the 3 divided by 2 times 10 to the 3, what's happening is it's treating it like 2 numbers. Divide by 2 and then times 10 to the 3. So when it's treated as 2 numbers, it's the same thing as saying 2 times 10 to the 3 divided by 2 times 10 to the 3 up on top. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1,000 times 1,000 is a million. You get the wrong number. Okay? The way to enter this in your calculator is not with this 2 and then the times button, 10, and then this little caret, the little pointy uppy thing, and the 3. The way to enter this into your calculator is 2 and then EE 3. The EE button is found on my calculators above the 7, and you have to hit the second button in order to use it. So on my calculators, it's 2 and then the second button, and then the EE, and then the 3. And that right there will get you a single number instead of 2 separate numbers, and then you're not messed up by order of operations. If you plug 2 second EE3 divided by 2 second EE3, you'll get 1. But when you plug in 2 times 10 to the 3 divided by 2 times 10 to the 3, you'll get a million or some other number, which is not 1. Now this can be solved by putting parentheses around that entire piece, but the problem is that's still not scientific notation. It's still not scientific notation. Real scientific notation is the front part, which tells you how many significant figures there are, and the back part, which tells you how far away from 1 it is, how far from the decimal point. Either is it a really big number or is it a really small number? But it's still just one number. And when you do it this way, well, your math teacher probably taught you, the calculator treats it like 2 numbers, and that can lead to errors in order of operations. This little caret, this little pointy uppy thing, as I call it, its technical name is a caret, is really supposed to be used for financial and statistical numbers and that sort of thing. Things with fractional numbers raised to fractional exponents and other weird situations. It is not scientific notation. Scientific notation is done with the EE button. Some calculators call it the EXP button, and with or without having to hit the second. But my calculators, it's the second, and also the older TIs that the school uses, these guys, it's also you have to hit second EE, and it's in about the same place above the second, above the 7 as well. Let's continue looking at order of operations. So let's look at these numbers. 2 times 3 divided by 2 times 3. You want to put that into your calculator the way you would normally put it in, and then pause and tell me what your answer is. Okay, if you put it into your calculator and you did this, we know 2 times 3 is 6, divided by 2 times 3 is 6, so we know that the answer should be 1. But I'm willing to bet that many of you got 9. And that's because of order of operations. When you put this into your calculator, 2 times 3 divided by 2 times 3 equals, so let's step through. 2 times 3 is what? 6. 6 divided by 2 is what? 3. 3 times 3 is what? 9. Okay? The way to solve this is twofold. You can either put all of this in parentheses, okay? 2 times 3 divided by 2 times 3, and you will get the correct answer. You can use order of operations to your advantage and do it the way I do it, which is to divide everything on the bottom and multiply everything on the top. And for me, I don't need parentheses. I do it like this. 2 times 3 divided by 2 and also divided by 3. Let's step through that. 2 times 3 is 6. Divided by 2 is 3. And also divided by 3 is 1. So doing it my way gets you the correct answer. Doing it this way with parentheses gets you the correct answer. There's another way with parentheses which you may think gets you the correct answer but which doesn't, and that is 2, 3, divided by 2, 3. And this is the same thing that you did the first time without the parentheses. Your calculator sees this as 2 times 3 divided by 2 and times 3 again, which is going to get you 9. The only way to fix it that way is to put a second set of parentheses on the outside, and that's a mess. That's 10 parentheses. Well, you do it my way, and you got no parentheses at all. Just remember that everything on the bottom is divided by. This times this, divide by this, and also divide by this, and you've got good order of operations without having to use any parentheses at all. But if you are going to use parentheses, they need to be just around the top and just around the bottom, and that will fix that problem. The last thing I want to do is to point out how to enter negative exponents in the calculator. The negative exponents in the calculator, for instance, the gravitational constant is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11 Newton meters squared per kilometer kilogram squared. Let me get that right, kilogram squared. To put this into the calculator is 6.67, and then on my calculators you would hit the second button, then you would hit the EE button, then you will hit the sign change button, which is this minus sign inside of parentheses, which is down by the equal sign in the bottom right hand corner on my calculator, and on the TI calculators it is in also that same place down here in the bottom right hand corner. And then you'll put in your 11. So the sign change button will change it to a negative, and then you put in your 11, and so that takes care of that negative 11. In no case are we putting in the times or the 10. Okay? The EE button is the times 10 to the power of all by itself, so you don't need to put in times or 10 anywhere. If you do, as a matter of fact, you get the answer incorrect, okay, because you will have then split it into two numbers. When you put it in like this, it is one number. The sign change button is mandatory. You cannot use the subtraction button. You can't use the minus button here because that's for subtraction. Like 20 students minus 1 student is 19 students. You can't do it that way. You need to use the sign change because that changes it to a negative number, not just subtraction. If you have any questions, send me an email or shoot me a reminder message or through Canvas and I'll try and help.